If you ain't talking money, then I don't want to talk.
Still gon' stunt. Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all singles, I make it look like it's snowing. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Then I'm still gon' stunt. Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all singles, I make it look like it's snowing. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all singles, I make it look like it's snowing. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Then I'm still gon' stunt. Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all singles, I make it look like it's snowing. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all singles, I make it look like it's snowing. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Then I'm still gon' stunt. Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all singles, I make it look like it's snowing. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam. Treat them like Jack boys, catch them slipping and slam.
Yo, back at you once again. We-On-Loc Nation. We're going to make this as long and as humorous as possible. I did a live earlier that included Jay Prince and Flora, and the things that I said to Jay Pence, I meant. Do I take this to be serious? I mean, I don't know. It's just a game to some people. Am I supposed to take it serious? I don't know. I have no idea. I think with my mind and not with my heart. But as someone told me earlier, YouTube is just YouTube, right? YouTube is just a game. It's like right now, it's like Fanny them having a good time. And Flora's just, I mean, I don't know what these people be saying. It's like one nigga needs to go to bed. The other one just needs to take a bath. That's all that is. One of them. But I still believe wholeheartedly that you don't put your hands on a woman. But at the same damn time, I'm thinking, why am I taking this shit serious? Go to bed. Why do I need to take this shit serious? But that's what happens when you spend so much time online, right? You spend so much time meeting him. That's all he wants to do is spend time online and you know attract as much attention as possible. I guess that's what people do. I mean, he at one point it was Anton. The second point it was Aaron O. The third time it was Fatty, and then the last time it was I think it was Ali. That nigga need attention. He's starving for attention, real bad. And I get it. That nigga lonely. So what does he do? He snatches up the one person that quote unquote would understand his ass. A person that is just as crazy as he is. And they got married early. And now it's like, no, this ain't happening, Captain. I mean, it's about time you sign them papers, huh? And I hope he does sign the papers so she can move on with her life. Like I said, I don't condone violence. I don't condone violence at all. But after 3 hours of sleeping, I'm thinking, why do I take this shit serious? I mean, I have other things to do. I just felt it was in me because I don't see myself hitting verbally, being abusive to my wife. So I've never done that. I've never been verbally abusive. I've never been physically abusive with my wife. Sorry, won't happen. But at any rate, on to moving on to bigger and better things. Right now, the difference between Jay Prince and Floor versus Mahogany and her boyfriend, fiance. Well, I'll tell you the difference. The difference is when I see them going live, I'm talking about Jay. When I see them going live, it's a shit show. When I see Mahogany go live last week, or was it a couple of days ago, possibly, maybe, with her significant other, that was wonderful. That was what should be versus what shouldn't be. You don't put your business out there on the street like that. That's why Mahogany would never put her business out in the street like that. She don't need to. Why would she? Jay Prince, all he does is just cut his fucking camera on for the whole world to see. With his dirty, with spitting, shooting spit out of his mouth, acting nasty as hell. And then gobba 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 gobba. That's all he does. It's just yap 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 gobba 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 gobba. And someone told me he was intelligent. Right. Jay Prince is intelligent. Well, show me better. Hey, just show me better. I know better. I know better intelligent people than that knucklehead. And for real, just humor me a little bit. Jay Prince, intelligent? Really? Where was all that intelligence when he met some psycho that ran over like 9 or 10 people? And he sat in that room literally defending a guy that ran over white folks, and I forgot what city. I think it was Oklahoma somewhere. That's intelligent. You sitting at the doctor's office drooling your mouth off when you're getting your dental work done, and drooling your mouth off and spending letting everybody see your personal shit. Or when you're in the laundry room with your kids and beating your kids half to death. Intelligent? Hmm. Try again. Try again. I mean, Jesus, I've done some crazy stuff. I've said and done some crazy stuff in my life, but it never was on camera. It would never was on camera. And I just don't get their relationship. I don't get it at all. But if she's smart, and I'm talking Flora, if she's smart, she'll walk away from this. Hotel. Hey Emma. If she's smart, she will walk away from this. She will walk away smooth from this before something really serious happens. And the next thing you know, well, I don't want to put this out in the atmosphere, you know, hey, I mean, it might be in a worse situation. It might be the worst situation that you've ever heard if there was any, because I didn't, number one, I didn't see no marks. I didn't see no marks, but you know, there was pain, there was hurt in there. And of course, the kids are, I mean, Flora's an adult. The kids are the only one that are suffering. I feel the most sorry is for the children, but those are not my children. Those are not my children. So I'm gonna let this tree fall, and I'm gonna let it land wherever it lands. And hopefully this whole situation with Flora and Jay Prince decimates, because they weren't supposed to be together in the first place. But as it pertains to Mahogany, which I don't understand why people have such animosity for Mahogany. I really don't understand it. I really don't. But it's all good. It's all good. Hey, Lisa. So, in tonight's episode, we're going to be dwelling into updates with, um, because I haven't done this in a while. I promised myself that I was going to do some updating with Sade Robinson. For those who don't know, Sade Robinson was a victim of a 33-year-old white man in, I think it's Mr. Anderson. And Mr. Anderson chopped this woman up into many pieces. Just, just, just brutal. Just freaking brutal. Like and share, subscribe to the channel. Like and share, subscribe to the channel. Let's get it.
I mean, this girl was everything. So smart, had her own little apartment that she paid for by herself, had her own little car, was going to college classes, the whole thing.
Nevada families deserve a future they can afford, said Jackie Rose.
I hate commercials. I really do hate commercials.
Oh, yes, Nancy, this is so um challenging daily. I don't know how I'm doing it. I'm walking in Sade's spirit and in her grace. I am her voice. I have to speak and advocate through her, for others, this is not something that just like pulled up and happened. I don't know. This is a waking nightmare daily. Every day I wake up, I can't believe what is taking place. I am Sade Robinson's mother. This is very ongoingly tragic. My baby was my everything. She's my life, my star. She was so amazingly beautiful, like you stated. She was so independent, self sufficient. She had her whole life ahead of her. She worked 2 jobs. She was dedicated. She was strong. 2 full-time jobs. The pizza shuttle. She was ranked up to manager. She started working there in the 10th grade, was ongoing, getting promoted, dollar raises every 6 months. So they wanted her to be manager. She worked.
Let's take a look at that sweet thing right there. 19 years old. Just imagine if that was your daughter. Just imagine how your daughter would graduate with honors, the highest honors that there is. I wouldn't know. I haven't been in school in a long time. Well, I've done online school, but I haven't been at a university or anything. She has. So just imagine her graduating with honor, with the highest honors, having, all these promises, all these jobs and money pouring in. And suddenly she meets this white boy who had a job, I don't know, had a job owning, was an owner of a bar or something. I don't know. And she meets up with this stranger, and they start going out with each other for that one night, for that one day. And the next thing you know, she's gone. You haven't heard from her, you haven't seen her. And then there's a knock on the door saying that your daughter has been murdered. And how she was murdered was the most devastating, the most wickedest thing that a person can ever do to a 19-year-old child. Just devastating.
At the Wisconsin club, part-time, the Wisconsin Country Club. She got her little sister a job there. That was her little sister's first job. This has been traumatic and ongoing. She was scheduled. She did receive her Associate of Arts degree in May, Nancy. Everything has been back to back since the last time I seen you. From the Maxwell Anderson that harmed and hurt my baby. I want that individual and his family held fully accountable. This is unacceptable behavior. My daughter did not
Miss
deserve this.
Scarborough, I just wanted to
Now, I forgot what I was going to say. Mind you, she, talking about Sade, was cut up after she was shot and killed, saw something that she shouldn't have seen after going over to his house, his place of residence, and not knowing at that time fully what was going on, going down and having a quote unquote sex dungeon in your house. But there's blood everywhere. Interesting. And that blood was not hers, it was somebody else's. she was dealing with a serial killer. And so he did what needed to be done by his standards by cutting her up into tiny pieces and throwing her into the lake or whatever. Just imagine if that was your daughter. Just imagine you happen to find piece after piece after piece, and they still haven't found the remaining pieces yet. It's been months and they still haven't found the remaining pieces. I feel sorrow for this woman. I feel sorrow for the father. Um, if that were me, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what steps I would take. All I know is the whole world would burn by my hands if that ever were my situation.
Tell you that in the last days, his lawyer has demanded that he have a laptop behind bars. He can kiss my rear end if he's going to get a private laptop behind bars. Miss Scarborough, I'm seeing you, and you have definitely, you're wasting away. You just, I can look at you, and you have lost so much weight. You're wasting away.
I
How are
have.
you managing to go forward?
I can't sleep, Nancy. I can't eat. I'm doing ongoing, you know, therapy along with my youngest daughter. Um, I have symptoms, physical symptoms. I don't mean to get in depth, but I don't share this a lot. But since this has happened, I'm very empathic, and I've always been like this. I can literally feel the symptoms of what this person did to my daughter. I literally don't move the same way physically. It's a lot of different layers of things going on with my physical health. Um, I can't describe it, but I don't know, Nancy. It's through the grace. It's very challenging. I
Is
have to keep
joining
on.
me in addition to Miss Sheena Scarborough, who is Sade's mother, who has vowed to be her daughter's voice throughout all of this. We are still on the search for parts of Sade's body, but we are learning in the last days that police are focusing now on various dating apps as to how this teen girl met up with a much.
See how I use an ad block, very mindful.
Oh God. Um, I have her on Facebook, and I have her on Facebook, and shouts out to the mom. Shouts out to Mrs. Starbo. Um, whenever you're going through a tragedy like that, you're not gonna eat, you're not gonna sleep, you just porn. I mean, just your health deteriorates, and I get it. I get it, but the only thing I could ever encourage is just to stay strong. You still have you still have another daughter. Um, you just be more cautious. That's all. Um, just be more cautious and just be. I mean, just be careful with. I mean, these dating apps. I mean, they're not all that bad, but I mean, me personally, myself, when I was I was married at the time, I've done dating apps. I've done online dating, and it's just a tragedy that she has to go through it. But luckily, I didn't have to go through all that. I could have been robbed. I could have been deleted, but for the grace of God, I'm still here. And not saying that you can't meet anybody online. Not saying that meeting people in person is just as dangerous as meeting somebody online. I mean, you're just gonna have to vet for who you're dating, because it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a big difference. But let's continue.
His dad has a big local business who employed him briefly before he was let go. Maxwell Anderson, 33 years old. I don't know what he said to her on this dating app to make her think that it was okay to go with him. But we're not only learning about a potential dating app connection, but we're also learning about an alleged CI, a confidential informant, that claims this guy, Maxwell Anderson, told him, the CI, that he was going to lure Sade, take her to the basement, shoot her, and dismember her. Now, who the hey knows something like that and does nothing? But regarding these newly released warrants, listen.
8 unsealed warrants are giving new insights into the investigation of Sade Robinson's murder. Newly released surveillance images show Sade meeting Anderson at the Twisted Fisherman for their date. The warrants also reveal police are reviewing employment records and surveillance from Victor's nightclub. Anderson reportedly worked at Victor's, a club that one of Sade's co-workers says they frequented. Investigators are trying to determine how Sade met Anderson.
Joining us now, investigative reporter and anchor at Fox 6 Milwaukee, Aaron Mabin. Aaron, thank you for being with us. I've got so much evidence is being uncovered right now, specifically as it relates to what we've discovered in those just unsealed search warrants. What have you learned?
Well, I think the search warrants, it's very clear, Nancy. What the search warrants say is that this was a planned situation, according to this informant who came out days after all this kind of was revealed. This person came out afterwards and let investigators know that they went inside Maxwell Anderson's home. They saw 3 saws in there. They saw a tarp in there too, and they had information that this was going to happen. And what's really fascinating, Nancy, is that nothing came out until after the death. That's what a lot of people find really chilling in these unsealed search warrants too. So, a lot of people that we talked with
Hold
are
on, wait a minute. Let me understand something. Aaron Mabin, joining us, Fox 6 Milwaukee. So the CI, the friend of the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, goes into Anderson's home and he sees all this before Sade is murdered.
That's what the search warrants say, that this was seen before Sade was murdered, and this CI had information, never came forward. Sade Robinson goes missing. Maxwell Anderson is a prime suspect. And then the CI informs police about what they allegedly saw inside that home.
I mean, this dude looks like a caveman. But I don't know what this child was seeing in a person like this. And this is where I cringe when, I cringe when black girls go out with white dudes. I just cringe with that. But apparently she's seen something in him and say, he's a nice guy. But he's an older gentleman. Well, I can't even call him a gentleman. He's an older guy. I just ask of all, what do you see in these people? Now I'm not well. For one, I really don't care. I really don't care to say white people. There's some white people that kill, some white people aren't. I can. I'm more. I'm more for my people than anything. But the point is, it's clear that we need to be aware. We need to be in an alignment with our people, with our sisters, because of some shit like this can happen to her. That means it can happen to your daughter as well, or it can happen to your son. There's plenty of white girls that like to. There's plenty of white women that put black men in jail like crazy. And then you have this situation where, of course, black women get shot, black women get decimated. We don't know why. We just see the evidence right in front. But you're still hanging around these people. You're still trying to be all lovey-dovey with people like this. That's mind-boggling to me.
Well, you're absolutely correct, Aaron Maben. Listen.
Maxwell Anderson had a sex dungeon in the basement of his West Milwaukee home, according to a law enforcement source. Cops found a sex sling, restraints, and handcuffs. A close friend of Anderson said that on a visit to Anderson's home last year, he noticed a hole in the ground that was about 5 feet long by 6 foot deep. Anderson said he was working on an underground basement, despite having a large basement in the home already. They say the basement in the home had small windows that were always covered, so you could not see inside.
I'm with you, Aaron Maben. So this so-called friend, a CI confidential informant, knew that all of this was going to happen. Based on what you're learning from the warrants, Aaron Maben, had Sade, a teen girl, already been targeted as the victim?
You know what the warrant looks like, Nancy, is that he planned on killing Sade Robinson, according to the search warrant. And again, Maxwell Anderson is not said anything, attorney not saying a thing either. And that's just, what we're reading in here is some pretty chilling stuff. But what's not clear, Nancy, is why exactly she was picked out, why exactly she was targeted. And that's what, family is likely wanting to know too.
Okay, so from what I'm understanding, he actually targeted Sade specifically. He wasn't going to lure a woman, any woman, to his home, take her down the stairs into the basement, murder and dismember her. It was Sade specifically that he wanted. Listen.
A friend of Anderson's is now working with law enforcement as a confidential informant. The CI tells investigators in early March, Anderson spoke of a plan to lure Sade Robinson to his home, then force her into the basement at gunpoint where he would shoot her, then dismember her body and scatter her remains. The CI says Anderson showed him the basement, where Anderson had taped plastic paint protectors to the walls and floor. The CI says there were 3 saws in the prepped basement.
Brian Fitzgibbons, help me.
If you're over 40, the simple way to make sure your family is.
That makes no sense. No, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. What's going on? It makes perfect sense. I wonder what app. I need to know what app that was. I'm thinking Tinder. It possibly might be Tinder. I don't know. I mean, how many dating apps are there? It could be dozens of them. I gotta look them all up. But this practically makes it does make sense to me. If she was being targeted, he's either a hacker or something. I mean, his father allegedly is like the mayor of Milwaukee or something. But the truth will come out eventually in court. The truth will come out eventually in court next year.
Brian Fitzgibbons, Director of Operations for USPA Nationwide Security, who leads a team of investigators often looking for missing people. Brian, did you hear what our reporter with Crime Online just stated? That the CI, talk about a day late and a dollar short, the friend of Anderson's spoke of Anderson's plan to lure Sade specifically. Not just, I'm going to get a woman and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. It was Sade he wanted. Then to, quote, force her into the basement at gunpoint where he would shoot her and dismember her and scatter the remains. And he had prepped it like a spider with a fly. Anderson taped plastic paint protectors to the walls and floor. What about it?
Nancy, this speaks to the diabolical premeditation that took place here. Okay. And it also speaks to the circles that Anderson was running in. The fact that nearly a month before Sade went missing, this confidential informant knew specifically about Anderson's plans, specifically with her. Okay. So
what was that hole for? Anybody see that hole on the floor? Let me see if I can get that. You didn't see that hole on the floor? Hold on.
The circles that Anderson was running in, the fact that nearly a month before Sade went missing, this confidential informant knew specifically about Anderson's.
What are you doing digging a hole on the floor for? To bury your freaking victims in. It wasn't like he was planning some trap door. He was planning to bury his victims down there in his little sex dungeon. Had his way with them, and then pretty much do what he does. Carve up. There should be no witnesses. Now remember, way back when they went downstairs and they saw blood, it wasn't hers. It was somebody else's. So that means there were multiple people that he had killed, but allegedly. But we won't know until the trial. If he's so innocent, then how come, because he pleaded not guilty, if he's so innocent, how come they found chainsaws remaining, well, they couldn't find the corpse because her body was scattered everywhere. What happened to the car? He burned the car. He burned the car. She was driving his car over to his house. Her car over to his house. Excuse me, apologize. Yeah, this was planned all right.
His plans specifically with her. Okay, so aside from...
And just imagine if this was your daughter. Just imagine her being 19 and already has something established for herself, getting ready for the world. And this happens. All this stuff down there, it's dark. Everything, the windows are taped so you can't see in. And the neighbors already said he was suspicious, but you couldn't even find no real evidence to anything. And they still cannot find the remains.
from the evidentiary value of this confidential informant's witness statement, it adds a tremendous amount of color to the life that Maxwell Anderson was leading.
Okay, see, you know what, Fitzgibbons, you're talking in your USPA Nationwide Security Code, all right? Speak regular people talk. What do you mean? What did you just say about the color in which his environment was painted? What are you saying? I think what you're saying, let me just be so bold as to climb out on a limb here, that look at the people he's consorting with, people that you say, hey, I'm going to get this girl, this teen girl, Sade, she's gorgeous, she's brilliant. I'm going to get her and lure her into my basement at gunpoint, force her down there. I'm going to kill her, and then I'm going to dismember her and leave her body parts around town for people to find. And this guy does nothing? Man, I'd have been on my cell phone as soon as I got clear of that house. Is that what you're saying, Fitzgibbons? Speak English to me, man.
That is exactly what I'm saying. So March 5th, this conversation with the confidential informant and Anderson takes place, and he doesn't come forward for well over a month and still 13 days after Sade was missing. You know, this speaks clearly to the type of people that Anderson was associating with.
But why her? Why did he target this teen girl, this beautiful girl? Why Sade?
A $4 billion fund has...
Because... Well, what do you mean, why? First and foremost, what do you mean, why? She's an American African. A good look, nice, wonderful, beautiful human being. Beautiful, melanated, chocolate sister, young sister with a promising future. Why? What do you mean, why? That's what y'all do, right? That's what you do, right? That's what white folks do, right? White folks snatching up black folks all day long, carving them up and throwing the rest of their remains. Sometimes, or rather all the time, almost every day, actually. You're taking young people and you're tearing out their spleens and everything just to survive. The market makes a lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of money in sex trafficking, harvesting. They make a lot of money with this. In this case, this is something personal. It's not business. This is personal to me. And what I'm asking is, what would you do? Or what would you be prepared to do if this were your daughter?
In my life, to speak Sade's voice. Sade was a beautiful soul. She was an amazing girl. Nancy, everything you spoke was exactly what my daughter deserved. I couldn't have asked for any better daughter. There was things my daughter did that many adults were not even able to accomplish in their lifetimes. The son of a took my daughter from me.
That's Sade's mother, Sheena Scarborough, and she's with us now. Miss Scarborough, thank you for speaking out. I mean, from when we spoke then to now, I was looking at you on camera before we started our program, and when you pull your hair back, I could just see how much weight you have lost. And now when what we're learning from these search warrants, that he didn't just plan to pick any woman to murder. He targeted Sade. Why?
Nancy, I don't know why my daughter was chosen to be the voice to speak for individuals in our community in Milwaukee. Is very concerning. Milwaukee is a well-known place for other serial killers, known as, Dahmer and other type of situations. I feel very unsafe in Milwaukee right now. I'm concerned, as you stated, your baby just started school. My baby, her youngest sister, just started school as well today. I'm concerned for my baby, my youngest. It's a feeling, it's an edge, anxiety, anxious, constant feeling, knowing that there are serial killers in our community. This could have been any one of our daughters. I don't know why God selected us to be the voice to speak for the other missing and murdered individuals in our community.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, renowned psychoanalyst, joining us out of LA, author of the book Deal Breaker. You can see her also on Peacock now. Dr. Bethany Marshall at drbethanymarshall.com. Dr. Bethany, why Sade? I'm going to get into the whole dating app thing in just a moment, because this CI, this friend, is blowing me away. He goes to the perp's home, who is a rich, spoiled brat suspect.
right.
He's had a silver spoon in his mouth since day one, but even his daddy didn't keep him at the office. He had to let him go. I can only imagine. I can't even stand to look at him. Why Sade? Why did he have to pick a
Nancy,
teen girl?
I have a theory about why Sade. Sade is gorgeous, young, successful. She already has her AA, 2 jobs, her own apartment. She is at the top of the world. And compare her to this loser who can't even hold a job in his own father's company. I bet he was envious of her, kind of like incels, where they want to be with the woman, they envy the woman, they think the woman's above them, but they want to take the woman down. So there's destructive envy, there's destructive hatred. He had a lot of targets, but she just rose to the top in terms of his selection. And this CI, Nancy, I bet we're going to learn that Maxwell Anderson was a part of some underground, either drug community or sex community. And there are more people that knew than just the CI. He wasn't just bragging to one person. He was either a part of a BDSM community, a swingers community, some community with some perversion like pedophilia or something that they all held in common.
Hold on.
There's going to be a lot.
Wait.
Yes.
Dr. Bethany, before I speculate or you lead me down the garden path about undersex clubs, can I talk about what I absolutely know? Because I can't put your speculation, no offense, in front of a jury. I care about probative facts. If I can't get them into evidence, they don't exist to me. But what I can get into evidence is what I have discovered from these search warrants. I'm going to go back to Aaron Mabin on that regarding dating apps that he was using and how Sade ends up dead. And it.
Shouts out to the panel, or shouts out to the chat. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. I need my guns back. I think this is going to be challenging, but if I can I'm going to start doing like a fundraiser of $20 or more, because I need my guns back. The one that I was looking at was $300. I want to start a fundraiser because this is what we need as a community. Is we need to start um, putting out awareness that anything, anything can happen at any point in time, right? And to, I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, we need to start dating our own. I do not trust white folks. I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. I can't trust them as far as I can throw at them.
It's not the first time this has happened. Listen.
Sydney Loof agrees to meet her Tinder date, Audrey, again tomorrow night, sharing with friends how excited she is. A man is driving when Audrey picks Sydney up, but Sydney still gets in the car. The next day, Sydney misses work and isn't answering her phone. Sydney's friend finds Audrey on Tinder, who police identify as Bailey Boswell. A month later, parts of Sydney's dismembered body are found discarded in 30-gallon trash bags. Trail admits to accidentally strangling Sydney while forcing her to participate in a porn film.
I met her on a Tuesday. I went to take her home, and she asked me to drop her off at a friend's house, so I did so. I gave her my number. We were planning to go to the casino that weekend. I haven't heard from her since.
The only thing standing between you, the obliteration of your under siege Second Amendment is me.
Good Lord Jesus. I best get paid for all these damn advertisements and shit. I better get paid for all these fucking advertisements.
Join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content.
And share exercise equipment. The mattress of a queen bed frame is flipped on its side, and bedding is tossed over a table in the corner of the room.
You are seeing video we have obtained of the so-called sex dungeon in the defendant's basement. He was digging another dungeon beneath that. The thought of this beautiful girl, Sade Robinson, dying here, being dismembered here, her last moments spent in the basement of a spoiled brat, 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson.
Mind you, his father was rich. Why go through all this and you had the ability to get anybody you wanted in the world, and your father is that rich? You know what his bond was? $5 million. He could have bailed his son out of prison or out of jail. Could have bailed him out of jail. Why didn't he? Why couldn't he get his son to tell the cops where the remaining parts were? Why didn't he? Why didn't he tell him? It's like, why didn't you tell the son? If they had any sympathy, if they had any type of remorse, he could have came up to his son in earnest and asked him if he ever cared and said, "You effed up. You need to tell the cops where the remaining parts are." And why she was being targeted. I didn't care.
With me is Sade's mother, Sheena Scarborough. I don't know if you have seen the footage of that basement. It's filthy. It's dug up. It's covered in debris. And this defendant picked Sade out of all the women in the area to lure her down to that filthy basement to murder her. don't understand why her. Have you seen
just-
that basement?
It disgusts me, Nancy. My daughter did not deserve this. This is unsurreal. This is freaking unsurreal. Like, I don't know how we were placed in this nightmare by this demon. Okay. Demon. And I don't want to go there, but there's no other terminology for individuals that move like this. Sociopaths, psycho, paths, like type energy. Speaking upon what the individual stated earlier, mine was very highly achievable and successful. I don't know what the motive would have been. I don't know how sociopaths and psychopaths think. Like, this is unsurreal, but this is very concerning for the Milwaukee community, all individuals and parents in the community. You need to be concerned about your kids.
You're right.
Be concerned where they're at. Sade's voice will be heard. And I'm speaking out for all of the other missing individuals, not just the Black and brown, but the missing individuals. There are young men. There are other individuals of all colors. We represent all missing individuals that have not been found.
Erin Mabin joining me now, investigative reporter and anchor Fox 6 in Milwaukee. I want to talk about how and figure out how he identified Sade. And I'm not quite sure, probatively speaking, why this matters so much to me, that he picked her out. And I'm thinking he left a trail digitally on his computer, on his laptop, on his cell phone. But Victor's bar plays a role in this. And remind me to circle back, because I think there's a similar transaction. A woman that claims she went on a date with him believes that he drugged her or put some drink. Okay, just let's start with that, because I'm wondering, I'm going to go to medical examiner Dr. Kendall Crowns on whether we can determine anything like that was in Sade's system, even though we don't have all of her body yet. But I think digitally and forensically it's very important to prove how the two connected. Not just a matter of my own curiosity, why pick her, but probatively, what can I tell a jury, Erin? What am I going to learn? What footprint he leave as to how he stalked her, and what part did Victor's bar play in this? Did he work at Victor's bar?
Yeah, we know that he did work at Victor's bar, and that's what we kind of knew from the jump, that he was this guy who worked at different bars, different restaurants around the area, and Victor's was one of those places. It's not clear exactly when exactly Sade Robinson came into contact with Maxwell Anderson at Victor's, but that was part of the story really early on, Nancy, that he was this bartender, this bouncer at Victor's, and kind of well known in that area, in that vicinity too. And it could have been a place, according to investigators, where he met girls, where he interacted with them too. So that's kind of where police are honing in on things. And not only Victor's bar, but, and you touched on this earlier, dating apps are playing a role in all this too, in this digital footprint. According to a search warrant, he had at least 4 dating apps on his phone. Not too unpopular for someone in their 20s and 30s, Nancy, because, the game has changed. People are meeting in person, but they're also meeting on dating apps.
You're right. Brian Fitzgibbons, Director Operations, USPA Nationwide Security. Brian, how many cases, and I've told many a jury this, people covet that which they see. Okay, like David and Bathsheba, for Pete's sake. He looks off his roof and there she is. So he has her husband murdered. It's as old as the story can be. And there he is, working in that bar, got fired from his daddy's business, and he sees Sade. And she is his target, and he tells his friend, I'm going to get her. Not like I'm going to woo her and I'm going to treat her like a queen and, one day we'll be a thing. Oh, no. I'm going to get her. I'm going to lure her right here to this house. I'm going to take her down to that basement. I'm going to kill her. Now, that's what I think happened. How can I prove it? How can I prove it, Fitzgibbons?
I think most likely their first interaction was at Victor's. And then we're hopeful that investigators through these dating apps, through these profiles, are going to find that probative evidence that you're looking for to prove Anderson's targeting, okay, to watch his targeting and see it unfold digitally.
Nevada family.
Well, you get the message. Well, that is should be a lesson for all individuals or parents who really have a concern for their children when it comes to stuff like this. I personally took it upon myself to wanted to train my children how to protect themselves in cases of an emergency. I think, well, I know, plus I think that adults, you know, American African adults do the same to their children. And sometimes you see it. Sometimes you do see that, you know, a father takes his daughter and son to the range and practices, you know, shooting, or takes them to boxing and martial arts classes and stuff like that, and that's fine. The thing about it is, if if their mental mind isn't worked, if they can't, I mean physically they can, let's just say they can get it into all the tactics, all the martial arts, the kicking, the punching, all that is fine and dandy. But if you don't sharpen this mental mind, all that's non and void. The biggest weapon is your mind. What you prepare, what you come prepared for, and the once someone has you to the point where they're just shouting things at you, if you can't get this, if you can't get this in your head that I have to fight for my life, even if I die, I have to fight for my life, because every everybody wants to go home. Oh, they're fighting already. Everybody wants to go home. That should be your mindset. I want to go home to my family, and I'm willing to do anything. I'm willing to tear your face off. I'm willing to just tear your freaking face off. That should be your mindset. I mean, you can practice this with anyone, right? You can practice this with anybody. But if this is not sharpened, you can do sword play, you can do gun play, it doesn't matter. As long as this is not sharpened, it is null and void. The body can work without the mind. It's as simple as that. I'm going to go ahead and transition in a few minutes. So hold tight, hold tight. Transitions to the next one. Let's get it. I kind of like that one. had a little mojo, had a little jazz to it. I like it. All right, transitioning to the next video. You know, I haven't heard from Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon hasn't done canning classes and God know how long, but he's back with another edition with canning classes, and we're going to review that with, well, do I have to say it, with guest starring Dr. Umar.
Peace. Glad to be with you.
my brother.
Back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So much to discuss, man. We always have great conversations.
Yes, sir.
And so much tutelage and information is available to all the people watching. So definitely get your Cannon's class notebooks out and start taking notes. But today I want to actually start from the origin story of the king.
To converse with early on in life that led me into the field of psychology. Now, I can't remember where I actually heard the word psychology from, but I clearly remember repeating at that time in the second grade in Jacksonville that I wanted to be a psychologist. I didn't know if it was clinical psych or school psych or forensic psych. I just knew I wanted to help children feel better about themselves. So when I returned to Philadelphia, my parents divorced. We returned to North Philadelphia, and the neighborhood, which I was fortunate enough to live in, the neighborhood school, George G. Meade Elementary School, it just so happened that there was a Black history class there. The school district of Philadelphia did not require it. Somehow this was an inside job that was done by the Caucasian principal, Mr. Levin, the American African vice principal, Mr. Huff, and the Black history teacher, Mrs. Green. And so we had Black history class for my 4th grade year and my 5th grade year. That was my introduction into Black consciousness. So I was about 9 or 10. And also that was my introduction into public speaking, because there was a Black History Month oratorical contest, and I entered both years, and I won first place both years.
Oh, wow.
And I never shut up since. Now,
what was the speeches? You remember the speeches?
I don't remember the speeches.
I remember my first one. I remember.
I have to say, Dr. Umar looks slick in that, don't he?
Like 8 years old, 3rd grade. I was Dr. Charles Drew.
Yes, sir.
I remember that. I dressed up in my church outfit. And
for the life of me, I don't know why these goons online really hate African culture. Not all, but some. It's like, you really hate yourself, don't you? Well, I don't really care. I mean, you got individuals, you got maybe 4 or 5 individuals. One's an earther, one's a psychologist, one's a Pan-Africanist, one's a FBA, and the other one is a ADOS. Why aren't we all climbing for the same purpose? It just feels so separated to me. Although Pan-Africanism doesn't practice separation, it practices togetherness. People just don't understand that. Just ranting.
About the blood plasma and all that.
Yes, sir.
I remember those days.
Yes, sir. Wow. I don't remember what I spoke about. I remember winning. And so after I graduated from Meade, well, let me back up a bit. When we came back for 6th grade, there was no Black history class. And I remember that really bothered me because I really loved Black history class.
Yeah.
And they said the program was done away with. I'm not sure if Miss Green was still at the school or not, but I know I was hurt that my last year at elementary school, there would be no Black history class. Now, mind you, while I'm attending Meade Elementary School at 18th and Oxford in North Philadelphia, about 5 blocks away at 16th and Cecil B. Moore Avenue is the international headquarters of Marcus Garvey's UNIA.
Wow.
So this is the largest Black organization in modern history, the movement that gave us the red, black, and green flag.
Right.
My mother purchased my tennis shoes at the Jewish-owned Hollywood sneaker store right next to the Garvey building.
Wow.
Since the 4th grade.
Wow.
I never knew it was the Garvey building until I almost graduated from college during undergrad.
Wow.
So 12 years.
Yeah.
Sneakers are being bought, right? Your allegiance to anyone but God.
Right.
And so I remember sitting in an auto shop one day, and the auto teacher told everybody to stand up. And I university, I joined the Black Student Union. I got elected BSU president. My first act of office was the Million Man March.
Wow.
The first one.
Wow.
October 16th, 1995.
No, 95, yeah.
95.
Yeah.
I got elected right before that, and we took a bus down to D.C. It was one of the greatest experiences I ever had. There was a church that put us up. We slept in the church. They had a buffet full of food. We cracked jokes all night. We woke up at the crack of dawn. We caught the metro train down to the mall in D.C. We were some of the first people at the march.
Oh, wow.
That's how early we left the church. It was still dark outside.
Oh, wow.
Sun ain't up.
Wow.
When we got out there, we said, wow, we early. It might have been 30 people.
Oh, wow.
And half of them was us, literally.
Yeah.
But we at the front where Minister Farrakhan is going to give his speech, right?
Yeah.
By the time that sun came up, it was like 1 million people out there.
Wow.
We don't even know where they came, brother. It was one of the greatest experiences, I ever had in my life. So that was my first act of office. My last act of office was we endowed the first student-led permanent scholarship in the Black Student Union's history at Millersville. And we did that with the money we raised from the Jay-Z KRS-One concert that we had my senior year.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I was the first BSU president in the state of Pennsylvania to bring Jay-Z to a concert.
Oh, that's
You know what I mean? We didn't get along too much backstage, though.
Oh, really?
Nah, because his homies from Brooklyn kept pulling women backstage.
Oh.
And, we in a white hick town.
Yeah.
Police are like, if it gets too crowded down there, we shutting the concert down.
Right.
And I'm like, we raised all this money to get Jay-Z and KRS-One. No way you're going to shut this down. So I'm telling his people, y'all can't keep bringing people back here. They're going to shut us down.
Right.
Now, we didn't really have a verbal altercation too much. It was mostly his squad.
Right.
But me and him had some.
And of course, there are going to be some people who will be reviewing this and, of course, be complaining about, oh, the school isn't open and blah, 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 blah. And, they should be spending this time with teachers and, lunch aids, even though you don't have to have lunch aids. You can bring your own freaking lunch to school. The buses and parents always drop their kids off at school all the time. Trust me, I know. My kids go to a freaking private school. It's like it's a never-ending thing. But that this is how evil people do. They're just criticizing all the time. Yeah.
Some words because he didn't want to stop them from pulling the women back.
So you had words with Jay-Z?
Me and Jay-Z had words. Yes, we did. And KRS-One, who was hot at the time,
right?
Step Into My World just came out.
Okay.
He was the main act.
Yeah.
He was just about to drop Hard Knock Life Volume 1.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And so KRS-One's people said, if it get too crowded back here, he not performing.
Yeah.
So I'm really like, y'all got to chill.
Yeah, because I need the teacher to
Yes,
teach.
sir. But in any event, everything went well. We raised about $30,000 to $50,000 that night. And we
I
took
wonder
all
if
that
Jay-Z
money.
remembers that.
He probably remembers. He's not going to admit it, but he remembers it. And we endowed that scholarship. So I graduate. I joined the Garvey movement. Most of my work was through the Garvey movement. So I'm a school psychologist. No, that's undergrad. I joined the UNIA. I'm doing my work through the UNIA.
Okay.
I go back to Millersville to become a school psychologist.
Okay.
But I'm still going back and forth to the Garvey meetings in Philly, Millersville, 90 minutes away, driving.
Right.
Okay. When I graduate with my first master's in school psychology, I come back to Philly full time. I'm interning with the school district of Philadelphia to get my permanent cert. And I'm doing work with the Garvey movement.
Right.
A couple years later, Marcus Garvey's younger son, Dr. Julius Garvey, he's a throat surgeon and thoracic surgeon in New York. He's still alive.
Right.
Okay. He comes to the African American Museum in Philadelphia as part of an exoneration program that our division of the Garvey movement in Philly was hosting to clear Garvey's name from the trumped up charges J. Edgar Hoover put on him back in 1923.
Right.
He goes to jail 25 to 27.
Right.
When Garvey gets out of jail in 27, he's deported.
Right.
But what he did not know at the time, President Calvin Coolidge committed Garvey's sentence. He did it because he didn't want to lose the black vote that year.
Right.
And because Garvey was so popular, he knew that if he was still in jail, black folks might not vote for
at
you.
all.
So he committed his sentence, right?
Yeah.
The sentence did not require Garvey to be deported. Marcus Garvey never had to be deported from the United States, but nobody told him.
Wow.
It wasn't until after he sailed back to Jamaica
Wow.
did he find out that the president never required you to leave the country.
Wow.
But once he left, they would never let him back in.
Right.
Look how history would have been made different because so many organizations after Garvey copied his.
And knowing that will never be repeated in history ever again. Ever again. I would love to turn back the hands of time and see how it would turn out. To get resources from Africa, to get resources from possible, soon to be with, take those resources and give it to Jamaica, give it to Haiti, which he's from. He's from Jamaica. All those particular resources, just imagine how far we will be right now. But we don't want to even support our own, which is real sad.
His whole program gave him no credit for it.
Right.
You see, but if Garvey would have never been deported, a lot of them organizations would have never been created because when Garvey was here, Garvey was everything.
Yeah.
13 million members. Never done before, never done since.
We might have had our own country within this country.
Right, absolutely. So that's the irony of that. But getting back to the Garvey movement, so Dr. Julius Garvey comes to the museum. We're raising consciousness to exonerate Garvey. I'm the host of the event, but nobody really know me too much outside of Philly.
Right.
So there's a brother from D.C., Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Well, excuse me, not a doctor, brother Nnamdi Azikiwe. Yeah. He says, you need to go to Africa. I said, why? And at the time, I'm Minister of Education for the whole Garvey movement.
Right.
I said, why? He said, they need to hear you. You're a pretty good speaker. You need to go to Africa. I said, let's do it. I've never been to Africa. Right. So he puts me in touch with a travel agent. They put me in touch with the UNIA in South Africa, the UNIA in Nigeria, the UNIA in Senegal. So I go to Africa for 30 days and 30 nights for the first time by myself.
Wow.
This was July 2nd to August 1st, 2005. I spent a week in Ethiopia, a week in South Africa, a week in...
Which, by the way, everybody needs to go to Africa. Everybody needs to spend some time in Africa. No matter where you go. Ghana, Senegal, not the Congo, because the Congo is kind of effed up right now. But Sydney, we can go anywhere. Well, you know what Trish talks about? What Trish talked about yesterday about, I wonder where Belize is. Is Belize in Africa? Let me check.
Nigeria, a week in Senegal.
Wow.
I get back, I'm hyped. I'm ready. I've been to Africa, go.
Right.
And at the time, there was some rumblings in the UNIA, the Garvey movement. I was getting to my britches.
Malcolm X.
That's
The
exactly
UNIA.
what I went through. That's exactly what I went through. And so they said he wants title. He think he's Marcus Garvey and da-da-da. So I said, since y'all think I'm title hungry, I'm giving up all my titles. I don't need no titles.
Wow.
So I resigned as Minister of Education. I resigned as First Vice President of Philly. Still was a member, but I gave up the titles, right?
Right.
That's 2005. I had to do my pre-doctoral internship 2008 to 2009. 1 year after that, September the 18th of 2010, I get invited to Chicago for a public access television interview. A Hebrew Israelite brother named Dawa Yisrael. He just passed 2 years ago. Nobody told me. I was angry because I wanted to go to his funeral. I fly to Chicago. I do the interview with Dawa. At the end of the interview, I asked Dawa for a copy of the DVD. We were still on DVDs in 2010.
Right.
He said, this is the only one I got. I'll send you one later. I said, okay, no problem, but I really need that.
Yeah.
At the last minute, he said, I'm going to give you this one. I could get another later.
Yeah.
If he doesn't give me that DVD, Brother Nick, we might not be here right now.
Wow.
Because what happens is 6 weeks later, I'm speaking in Harlem for the first time.
Right.
So I'm at 125th and 5th at the National Black Theater.
Right.
And of course, I'm hyped because all the great Pan-Africanists came to Harlem, Garvey included.
So this is basically just a little history lesson on how he became the scholar that he is. Through hard work and dedication, a lot of reading a lot of studying, a lot of writing, a lot of testing. Why is people so surprised? Man, he's a race hustler. How is that a race hustler when the man has approximately 6 degrees? And his father, Jamal Johnson, can confirm this. Jealousy and envy, that's the only thing I can think of right now. Jealousy and envy to those people who hate on Umar so much. It is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
So I have copies of the Chicago interview from September 18th with me on October 30th.
Wow.
Give those out.
Right.
I lie to you not. Within 48 hours, if that long, my phone started ringing. Never stopped in 14 years. And I ever made, I don't regret it.
Right.
So I gave up a bunch of the schools I was responsible for so I could continue to do the work.
Wow.
2014, I hear about the St. Paul's College in Virginia and HBCU about to go up for sale. That's what started us raising money at FDMG at campus that we finally.
Oh, so he was working then. Oh, okay. Because a lot of people are saying he need a job. He need a job. Wasn't he was working then. So when Lennon Honor comes out of his face and said that he wasn't working, he was just stealing from the people, that's a bunch of BS because he had already had a job. Okay.
Purchase in 2019,
right?
That we about to finish up now. We got some paint and some floors that got to be covered, and we should be ready for the grand opening real soon. All we got is superficials now.
Man,
everything's done.
Then that's awesome. I mean, because people, the few things, and it's such a remarkable story, but a lot of stuff like the naysayers, the haters, and the low frequency livers always
and
like
the YouTube and struggle streamers.
Yeah, they like to come at you about the school and say that you've been scamming people about this school. So I know you can't wait to actually open the school and prove all the haters wrong.
Honest.
And I can't wait either. But then again, it's not going to even matter. It's not going to even matter because once one person does something, he's going to not stop until he either gets he gets the attention that he wants, which he's not going to get from him. He's not going to stop due to the fact that he wants to embarrass this brother, which he's an embarrassment of himself. So I'm talking about Lennon Honor himself. And I don't know where these Lennon Honor goons come from. I mean, they just stroking the ego of Lennon Honor, just straight stroking his ego. Don't have to worry about that. But like I said, once the school is open, it's not going to stop. It's still going to continue. It's going to continue through. I beg, Dr. Umar, if you are listening, I beg and plead you to just sell the school and go to Africa. Because these people just don't deserve they don't deserve a school. They don't deserve any type of school like this, a Pan-African school. They don't deserve a Pan-African school like this. But I remember the first time we did the interview and he had told me, in paraphrasing, that they do deserve it because it's not the adults that I'm worried about. It's the children. And we're going to continue to move forward. And I said, okay, fine. It's not stress on me. It's stress on him. But he knows that he has armor. He's a tank. He has armor. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all.
Honestly, I want to do it for the supporters and the donors. because the haters, as you know, they always going to have something to say.
Absolutely.
So once the school is open, it'll be another issue.
Yeah,
you follow me?
Yeah.
So I don't focus on them. It's for the people who held down this whole time.
Yeah.
You know, the elders who donated and the young people who supported it. People came out to help us paint and help us clean, help us move. I want to do it for them because...
And for the kids that are going to actually attend the school.
Absolutely. I want to do it for them because they're the ones who said, I'm going to stand with Dr. Umar against this negativity until I see what becomes of it.
Right.
So I want to get this...
When does the school, won't just open the school? When is the school going to open? He just told you. Unless you are willing to give him the money to, quote, do the floors. Like I am actually a carpenter. Right. So I have not looked at the floor. Well, I did look at the floors at that one video. But I don't know if it's still like that. But just in case it is, you put tiles down or whatever. No big deal. No big deal. And once you do that, everything is already painted. Once you do all that, put the tiles down. It's about the occupancy. Oh, of course you gotta sweep all that shit out. And once you do that, once you start buffering I don't think you have to buffer the floor. Yeah, once you buffer the floors and everything, get everything cleaned out and everything, put the tile back up, but everybody's bitching and moaning about the fucking tile that's on the freaking ceiling. Then it's on to the occupancy. So it's not much. It's not much. It's just people complaining. That's all that is. And they can complain all they like. I mean, complain to me. Don't complain to him. Let him do what he does. And if the school is not to your liking, why are you even participating? Why are you even making live videos about it? Because nothing is going to satisfy you because you're such a hater. Nothing is going to satisfy you because you're such a hater.
School done for them so they can take a break of having to be so resilient against this onslaught of accusations and condemnations. And to your point, we were audited by the IRS a couple years ago because of the complaints from the YouTubian struggle streamers.
Wow.
They came, yes.
Wow.
They even said that we heard that the school is not in the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy's name. The school is in your name. So they were told that I made the school my personal property. You follow me? Yeah. So we had to show paperwork and everything that we did not hustle the money, steal the money.
Yes, that he was living in the school. He's living in the garage in the school somewhere. He's sleeping in the school. This is a school scam. This is a struggle school scam. So you follow Umar everywhere he goes. Yeah. Like a predator, you follow him everywhere that he goes. This is some sad, sick shit. But I'm gonna continue.
In that the school was not my personal property, but is the property of the FDMG Academy Corporation. But they came through, went through the paperwork.
So now the feds and the government know it's legit.
Oh yeah. So when they say I'm scheming, I'm like, well, listen, you didn't have the feds in here.
Yeah.
So if I was scheming, being who I am, they would best believe they would have dealt with me accordingly.
So can we talk about the school and education specifically for a minute? Because someone who has gone through the public school system, and I've heard you speak many times where you just break it down, and we've even discussed it on, and I know it's in both books when it comes to public education. Why is it important for you to create a school outside of that system, and for even the people who, everybody's not going to be able to go to the Frederick Douglass Garvey School, but those same ideologies, the curriculum you may be putting forth,
Mm-hmm.
people would like to implement that in a homeschooling structure, or even the concept of specifically our black young men need to be educated by us.
Yes.
Can you break that down and why that is important for why you felt like that's really what's going to save, the black community, and specifically how, I mean, it's definitely a new trend where we pulling our kids out of these public schools right and left.
We are. Now, I'm going to give you both sides of this homeschool initiative argument.
Okay.
The pro and the con. First, let me back up. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, don't take the kinks out of your hair, take them out of your mind. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black History Month, said, when you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. You don't have to tell him where to go. He will go on his own as his conditioning and indoctrination makes it so. You don't have to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. And when he gets to the back door, if there is no back door, he will make a back door to walk out of it. With that being said, public education in America for the black child is a plantation. It operates identically to the plantation system of antebellum Southern America. The purpose of the public school is to teach the black child how to fit and where to fit in if they expect to survive in America. You are taught who you are, not to find out who you are. You are taught how great the Caucasian is at the expense of your own self-esteem. So people will say that black kids are not taught that they are nobody in school directly. That may be true, but by excluding them from the history, by example and by indication, you're suggesting to them that they are nobody.
Right.
So if we want to birth free-thinking African children, you're going to have to create your own school system, because the purpose of public school in America is to prepare the boys for prison and the girls for poverty.
Wow.
There is nothing else for our children unless we give it to them. Remember, schools were created because the corporations needed better educated low-wage earners. Right? So it was big business that went to the government and said, listen, the people you have can't write, can't count, can't read. If you want us to build America into a great capitalist economy, you got to give us better educated low-wage earners. That's the purpose of school. So if there are no jobs for black youth, and schools were built to prepare a labor force for capital, if there's no labor, what's the purpose of education?
Wow.
Prison for the boys, poverty for the girls.
Wow.
So when you come to homeschool, you say black parents are pulling their children out the homeschool. I support homeschooling, but as a intervention, not a solution.
Okay.
And the reason for me that homeschooling is an intervention and not a solution is most of our children, 67% on average, are raised by single mothers. So if I'm being raised by a single mother working 2 and 3 jobs, raising 2 or 3 children, how is she going to pay the bills, raise the children, and properly educate me at the same time? In other words, I think single black mothers already have enough to do. I don't think it's fair that the black community also, on top of everything else they have to do, including trying to turn boys into men without the presence of the dad, we are also, on top of that, telling them you're responsible for the education of their children. One or two things are going to happen. Either the mother is going to get burnt out, or the children are going to lose out by virtue of her not being able to give them an effective education. Now, if you come from a 2-parent household, you're fine, because daddy can work, mama can stay home and teach. You're all right. But most of our children are raised by single mothers, not married ones. And that's why, for me, expecting homeschooling to become a great big solution for the black community is unrealistic, because
One of these same Negroes online that were complaining about single mothers should be with single dads. I'm talking about single mothers with kids should be with single fathers with no kids. I remember somebody, a particular person, not mentioning no name, saying that it shouldn't happen that way, and they should find their own. They should find be with their baby fathers. Why would that be? Because that's potentially who you lay down with. Oh, you would lay down with somebody who basically beat your beat her ass in front of company, stole from her, got her pregnant, left her for dead. Is that what you're talking about? Well, I would. Okay, so you basically want her in a better situation. You want her in a better situation. So if you have one, I mean, if you have one and two, you can probably squeeze by with two. But if a person cares for you enough, and I'm talking specifically with men, if men care for you enough, I mean, he doesn't have to necessarily do anything because he's not occupied to do so. But if he's generous enough to take on certain responsibilities within that time frame, everything is cool and calm and collective. And of course, just like with Tyranny's situation, for example, she's engaged. Congratulations, Tyranny. Now, she's engaged and she's possibly with somebody with no kids. I didn't ask. But does it matter? No. What it is we have somebody who has taken her off the market, and now she is relieved, and she has someone that can help her through her journey with the, I believe, the three kids. Don't come at me, Tyranny. I'm just second guessing that you have at least three kids. It's a beautiful thing. It's an absolute beautiful thing.
Because most of our black mothers are already taxed to the max trying to pay bills and take care of their children. The solution, Brother Nick, is independent schools. It bothers me that whenever we talk about independent schools, people say, well, why can't they just homeschool? Why is it that we can expect the best of everything except for our children when it's time for them to get an education? What I mean by that, when we go buy a car, we get the best car. When we go home shopping, we get the best house. When we go on a vacation, we choose the best vacation. If a sister going to get her hair done, she going to pay top dollar for the best hairstyle. Brother wants some shoes, he going to go get a $300 pair of Jordans. Why is it that we can have the best of everything except education for our children? Why do we got to settle for homeschooling when you got empty public schools in every major city? You got empty schools in LA. You got
And that's another thing. That's interesting. Because why would people pressure this man just to do like a home school or computer school or whatever? You're too damn lazy to take your kids to freaking school. Or am I wrong? Because that's interaction with not only the classmates, but with your teachers. The teachers can interact with the people there physically, not virtually. I have no problem with virtual. I mean, my daughter does that too when she's sick, if and when she is sick, and if and when she cannot remove herself from the house. It's just like, for example, she has COVID. Until those 10 days pass by, she cannot leave her bedroom. She cannot leave the facility that she's in, and she can still do her work from home. Other than that's a good thing. Other than that, I am sure that I mean, he does have a computer room in that school. I am for certain that he's going to get pretty soon computers and laptops and stuff like that and give to the kids. once he gets that extra money in, once he gets the school going and the staff and everything going, he's obviously going to have computers. Come on now.
Empty schools in Oakland. You got empty schools in New York and North Carolina. You got empty schools in Chicago and Detroit. I know because I've been in so many of them when I was school hunting. Why do we got to settle for homeschool?
Right.
When you got schools that are empty that we can buy and turn into the schools that our children need.
Right.
For me, homeschooling is a shortcut and a cop-out on behalf of the black community who don't want the full-time accountability and responsibility of educating our children the right way full-time.
Wow. So in this independent schooling process, I've heard you speak about this, the importance of black male teachers.
Yes, you got to have black men.
Right. Black men have to teach black men.
You got to have black men.
Tell us why.
Because black boys, first of all, black boys are being suffocated by feminine energy. They have their mother all day, grandmom all day, auntie all day, sister all day, cousin all day, white female teacher in public school all day. They don't need no more feminine energy.
Yeah.
They got enough. In fact, I would argue, Nick, when we look at the intensification of extermination taking place in our neighborhood, black on black male fratricide, a lot of the energy that these black men are rubbing up against each other with is feminine. It's not masculine. They think it's masculine. But for me to take your life because you looked at me the wrong way, I'm going to take your life because you looked at my... It's emotional. That's feminine. That's not masculine. Feminine is emotional. Masculine is cognitive. We're going to reason our way out of this. You see that?
Right.
So a lot of this black on black crime, it's feminine energy. But we can't see it for what it is because they're
black
using
male
guns.
wasn't in the home, so therefore... Because
Absolutely.
when we had the gangs, there was structure when it was ran
by men,
yeah,
grown men,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so with the school system, we got to have males because black men don't have dads. So in that classroom, you need an instructional leader who can also be a mentor, quasi father figure.
Yeah.
If I don't have a father, and I go to school and there's a male teacher who I know cares about me,
right,
I'm going to do extra because I want his attention and I want his approval.
Yes.
But if you're just going to throw me another snow bunny, if you're just going to throw me another black woman up there, I see them all day long. I have no motivation at all to prove to her that I can read, write, and count. But you stick a black man in there and don't let him not only be my teacher and my mentor, my role model, and my father figure, but on top of all that, he might be the basketball coach. He might be the football coach. So I really got to impress him because I want that starting small forward spot, and I'm not going to get it if I don't ace these grades. There's so many benefits that accrue to our sons by having black men in the classroom. So the natural question becomes, why are they not there? Because the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association, these are the two largest public school teacher unions in America. They are dominated by white women and white people. Wow. They don't want those black men in the classroom, not at the expense of their white teachers.
Right.
Because if you say every black kid in South Central, Compton, every black kid in Pasadena, in Richmond, in San Diego, in Sacramento, all of them got to have a black male teacher. In order to do that, you have to lay off all these white women. The union is there to protect their white teachers' jobs, not to give them up. So even though having black boys is what's best, our mission is not what's best for black boys. Our mission is to protect the teachers and their jobs.
Wow.
The union is the...
Let's just say a teacher gets in trouble, right? For whatever, sexual harassment and stuff like that. The person doesn't even, that teacher does not get fired. That teacher is sent to their personal detention for how many, I think it was 90 days or something like that. And then they end up locating to another facility. That's how deep it is. Their unions do not play. Their unions do not F around. They send you to their own personal detention. They send you to a facility with the rest of the teachers who have the same or in different situations with students, right? And most of them are what? White. So where are all the black male teachers?
Enemy of academic innovation.
Right. But obviously the solution is independent schools.
You control it.
Yeah, and
The
then you can pay those teachers whatever they need to be
whatever
paid.
they need.
Yeah.
The beauty of FDMG or any independent school for that matter, if you want to take them on a class trip, you take them. You need parent permission.
Right.
If I want to take them to Africa for a week, I take them.
Right.
I don't have to go through the bureaucratic superstructure to get permission from the assistant superintendent and the superintendent and the chair. You don't have to go through all the red tape.
Right.
If I want to teach them how to use firearms responsibly, we teach them.
Right.
You just need permission from the parents.
Right.
If you're talking about a need to control the direction of the education of African children, you got to go independent schools.
Right.
But the reason we don't have them, Brother Nick, which is the same reason we ain't got hospitals, same reason why we ain't got manufacturing centers, same reason why we ain't got distribution networks, same reason why we ain't got black banks or black supermarkets, is black people don't want the financial responsibility of having to build, sustain, and maintain institutions.
But that has to be a new mindset, because at a certain period of time, that's all we wanted. We wanted to have our own of everything from, the days of Reconstruction and on. It was about creating our own communities and owning everything from the banks, from the small businesses, from the schooling, from the colleges. We wanted for our own. So,
but we got seduced away from independence. And this is what I mean by that. When you go to the Black Wall Street,
a lot of people say that's the civil rights movement.
Actually, before the civil rights movement, we were seduced on a whole new level.
Right.
But the seduction began early.
Okay.
That was just the apex.
Right.
And what I mean by that, when you look at the Black Wall Street era of America, that ends around your 1930s and 40s, right? I'm going to say by the end of the 20s, it was just about over.
Right.
Right? So then, in 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt beats presidential incumbent Herbert Hoover for the presidency of the United States. It's the first time a Democrat is elected in quite some time, right?
Right.
It's also the first time that the Democrats caught a sizable percentage of the black vote. Up until FDR, we were Republicans because the Republican Party was founded to stop the spread of slavery.
Yeah.
And it was the Republican Party that wrote the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment. So why would we give up the party of Abraham Lincoln?
The Democrats were the Klans.
Absolutely. They were the Klan.
Yeah.
They were the Klan.
That was the Klan
and the
party.
Dixiecrats right along with it.
Yeah.
So when FDR wins the presidency, and they get a nice chunk of the black vote, they don't get the majority of the black vote. Overall, we still stay with Hoover and the Republicans, but they got more than they ever got in 32.
Yeah.
So people said black people starting to switch over. Why? Because when FDR came with his New Deal programs, and then when he ran for re-election in 36, that's when we switched.
Right.
That's the first time the Democrats got a sizable proportion of the black vote in a very long time. And we have been stuck with them from then until today.
Wow.
88 to 92 years of voting overwhelmingly Democrat.
Right.
You see, in the high.
Not anymore. Not anymore. And I played you the clip yesterday that people are getting sick and tired of the Democratic Party. They are going full-blown Republican. Now, what they're going to find out is if the Republicans don't do anything, they're going to start panicking. What we going to do? I mean, think about it. You already got immigrants coming in from the country illegally. You already got the Venezuelans pretty soon want to be a part of that voting bloc. If they're a part of the voting bloc, you might as well just pack it up because you are dead last, sir. You're going to be dead last. And they don't even need you. The truth of the matter is they don't need you anymore. They don't need your labor. They don't need your. The only thing that they need at this point is your entertainment. That's about it. You're going to be replaced, and you are going to be extinct if you do not do something about the situation.
Highest amount they ever got for us was Barack Obama and Joe Biden when we voted about 90% Democrat. That's the highest ever, right? But here's my point. FDR's New Deal seduced us into believing we no longer own our own anymore. America was changing, and you can now come and be a part of the system and the society.
The great
and
melting
to help
pot.
sell this, although I don't blame her, Queen Mother Mary McLeod Bethune was the face of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's black cabinet. Remember, he's the first president in American history to have an unofficial black cabinet. He didn't give them real titles. They were unofficial, but they had a say-so in everything that he did. This made black people visible to the federal branch of the government more than we've ever seen before. So that helped swing us over. Also, Nick, keep in mind that FDR was president for 4 terms. He was in it for 12 years.
Wow.
He was in it for 12 or 16 years.
Only president to ever do that, right?
Yeah, he's the only one who ever did that. It might have been one other, but he went in at 33 and he left in 45 when he died. So he was in there for 12. So that's 3 terms. 4, 8, 12. So he was in there long enough to really seduce black folks that this was the way to go. So we kind of got seduced away from having our own, because when a New Deal came, FDR and Mary McLeod Bethune and other prominent blacks were in a seat at the table, no title, just a seat. We said maybe we don't need our own no more.
Wow.
And so FDR convinced us to go Democrat. And we stayed with them from that 36 election all the way up until just about the Civil Rights Bill. See, we started second guessing them during the Civil Rights Bill because John F. Kennedy and Lyndon Baines Johnson wasn't doing nothing about Emmett Till. They wasn't doing nothing about Medgar Evers, the sit-ins, the freedom rides. You follow me? So black folks was like, maybe we need to go back to the Republicans. And Lyndon Baines Johnson said, and this is exactly what he said, we have to do something for them. Not enough to make any real change, but just to make them comfortable. And I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically what he said. I'm going to give them this Civil Rights Bill. And when I give them this Civil Rights Bill, I will have them Negroes voting Democrat for the next 100 years.
200 years.
And he didn't say Negroes.
Absolutely.
He said the other term.
Absolutely. So we reinvested in the
Technically, it was 200 years, but who's counting?
Democrats from 64 until 2008, Barack Obama. And then Barack carried us through Joe Biden. And now we are in a crisis right now. Because for the first time, it looks like black people could possibly vote Republican more than Democrat for the first time in a very long time. And even if the Democrats still get the lion's share of the black vote, Donald Trump is still going to carry a large portion of the black vote because the Democrats haven't given black people anything of substance to hang our hat on to justify our 92-year commitment to that party.
Well said. In that sense, I mean, obviously, we're currently dealing, the election is upon us. And, you know, there's a strong black woman representing the Democratic
Here we go.
And when
Party.
you say black woman,
here you
Here we go.
I need you to qualify that. Because according to what I've seen,
Howard alumni.
Hold on. Here we
Hate
go.
you.
I'm going to tell you like I told D.L. Hughley, Steve Harvey, and Ricky Smiley. I love the HBCU tradition. I love the black fraternity and sororities tradition. But that has nothing to do with holding somebody accountable who's seeking to be the next spokesperson for the country and also more specifically for our community.
So
here's where I stand. When I look at Kamala's ancestry, and let me be clear about something. Whether she's black or not black ain't my biggest issue. Is what she going to do for black people. The reason Kamala's race has become such a big issue in this election, Brother Nick, is because it's the only thing they're selling the black community.
She's not going to do anything. She is not going to do. Let me make me iterate. I can't even say the word properly, but you know what the frick I'm saying. She's not going to do anything specifically for black people. She is not going to do anything specifically for black people. Let me say it one more time in front of your face. She is not going to do anything specifically for black people. No. It's the same trick bag. It is the same trick bag. However, I don't trust Republicans either. And this is the thing. This is the killer part. This is the killer part. Guess what? If the Republicans don't do anything, and the Democrats definitely ain't gonna do anything, because you heard what we said. It's nothing but the Klan at this. You've been voting for the Klan all along and didn't even know it. Different face, same white sheet, same white policies. Republicans aren't no different. So what you gonna do? I gotta do in a Hulk Hogan voice. What you gonna do, brother, when the Republicans and the Democrats shit on you? Why don't we organize? Yes, organize as a people, black people. Yay! Ain't gonna happen.
In exchange for their vote. So the only thing they've given us has been identity politics. Stay with me.
Okay.
You follow me? Not a word about schools, not a word about prisons, not a word about gentrification, not a word about police extermination, not a word about economic apartheid. All we're hearing is she's a black woman and we should vote for her. If she led with policy, Nick,
right,
I don't even think we would be talking about her racial ancestry if she led with policy. Donald Trump is not black. He's not claiming to be. So there's no need to talk about Donald Trump's ancestry. We can stick to what? Donald Trump's policies.
Right.
But because the black bourgeoisie that is surrounding Kamala Harris is telling black America to vote just because she's black, automatically that means what? We have to make sure she is black.
So, well, you said so much, but I have a few questions.
Sure.
And I have to go to the idea of the two-party politics.
Yes, sir.
As we know, as you know, W.B. Du Bois said, there's no such thing as two parties, just one evil party with two names.
I agree.
So
two wings, same bird.
Exactly. Now, in that, we know there's a lot of pageantry in the presidency.
Yes.
And
it's mostly pageantry, I would argue.
Mostly pageantry, less policy.
Yes.
Because we know the lobbyists and the money are the ones who really control everything. In that, it's all about identity politics, as you said, and what's representing us. So, as a Pan-Africanist, someone who knows that it's all about pageantry, what we have representing our country as the United States of America can be one or two things right now. A billionaire, older white man who has been known to not care about the black community.
Correct.
Or a black woman, a woman of color. Even if you don't take the word black away, we'll go woman of color.
We got to stay with black,
okay,
and we're going to talk about why.
Okay, but I'm saying
it can't be woman of color.
For the rest of the representation, for the rest of the world to look at the United States of America and the pageantry that we
wouldn't take people of color because that's escapism. That means if you're white, why can't you have if you're black, why can't you have the same opportunities as white folks or as Mexican folks? It's all escapism because they're not going to give you the same opportunities. They're not. I have been in school 3 times. I was given one opportunity to work full time at a particular place here in Las Vegas as a carpenter. You know what they told me? You cannot work at this facility as a lower percentile, even though I worked there for a week. Even though I was working there for a full week, They still said you cannot work at this facility. I said, I'm thinking to myself, it's like you can at least put a word. You can at least put a word in, and I'm doing the best that I can for myself. They only hire who they want to hire, and it's not your black ass. Sure, they'll let a few people here and a few people there just to say that they're not racist, quote unquote. But come on now, this is America, a land of opportunity. I thought.
Represent. What would be a better choice of identity in pageantry than a white man that's all about money and told us that he cares nothing about us but cares about him? That's the pageantry.
Okay.
Or a woman that at least, and just start a woman
Okay.
that at least shows that she has some sense of compassion, empathy for the people of the United States of America.
Stay right there. You said a woman who shows that she has some compassion for the people of the United States of America.
Right.
But this is the same woman who said America is not a racist country. This is the same woman who said, I'm not going to do anything that's going to only benefit black people. While she sat in office and watched President Joe Biden pass an anti-Asian hate bill, anti-Asian hate executive order, Native American executive order, LGBTQ executive order, and law. So how can Kamala Harris, the so-called black woman, say that I can't do anything just for black people, but you sat in the White House for 4 years with President Biden and watch him take care of specific groups of non-white people, and you didn't demand one thing for your own black people that you claim to be a part of?
Now, again, because those are a lot of semantics, because we've heard this argument before. She can say a lot of that stuff is taken out of context. A lot of the process of when she's saying she wants to do things for all people and not just black people specifically. Okay. We also know that bill, the Asian hate bill, is actually a bill that is for all.
No, it's not. Did you read it?
All them. Listen, can you read between the lines with some of these trick bags? It's like she can't even answer the question straight. It's all a deflection. She doesn't participate in anything. Listen, if the truth were to come out, specifically when it comes to her politics, and quite frankly, I wasn't even paying attention. Maybe someone told me earlier, specifically when it comes to our politics. I don't know. But even if that were the case, even if it was told to me, it sounded like the same old thing Joe Biden pulled off right before he resigned. It's the same old trick bag that even Donald Trump pulled. The same old trick bag that Obama pulled. Tax cuts for the rich Republicans. Tax cuts for the middle class and the poor. Same old trick bag. But have any of these people, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or even Donald Trump, even mention reparations for black people? Even though everybody else has gotten rid. This is the concept. This is the one thing that black people hark on. And I specifically said it. I said this: you're not gonna get it, but if you're gonna continue this, this bumpy ride of expectations to the point to thinking that you're going to get reparations from these people. This is the reason why they smile at your face. This is the ultimate reason why when the next trick bag comes, before he answers the question, he's like, what about my money? I want my check. Well, give tax cuts to, and people then lower the prices of food and gas and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's all fine and dandy. Where's my paycheck? Where's my check? My family's starving out here. You getting all these people coming in from overseas and getting rich. Have you looked around lately? Have you looked around at our situation? Have you looked around at our grocery stores, our tennis shops, our gas stations, our even car washes? Have you seen when you go to places like not Walmart, when you go to the specific places in your city and state, what do you usually see? What do you usually see? Do you usually see us, or do you usually see a whole bunch of white people, a whole bunch of Mexicans, a whole bunch of Asians? Who do you see mostly? I'm asking. Who do you usually mostly see? I'll wait.
I mean, it's a
Read
long
it.
bill.
Read it.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. They only discuss Asian and Pacific Islander hate in the COVID-19 hate crimes bill. It is not for everybody. It is for Asians and Pacific Islanders.
Okay.
And now stay with me.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with them protecting
as they should,
Asians and
especially
Pacific
because
Islanders.
it was very specific in that moment.
Yes,
because a
that's
lot of
not
that
my
was
problem.
Right.
My problem
is to say
is
that
how do the Asians get an anti-hate bill after one massacre? And don't get me wrong, that's enough to get a bill. But black people been catching hell for 4 centuries, and we ain't got one yet. And what's been done to us is way worse than what has ever been done to any
there
other
are
group.
many. There's bills that have protected over the history.
Name me one bill in American history that was written just for black folks since the end of slavery. Give me one. Because the Civil Rights Bill was for everybody. The James Byrd anti-lynch, that's for everybody.
The Civil Rights Bill was definitely ushered in by us.
So let me ask you a question. It might have been ushered in by you. All the bills were ushered in by us.
Right.
But who benefited the most? Affirmative action and the Civil Rights Bill benefited homosexuals and white women far more than it benefited black people. In fact, the Dixiecrats and the Republicans refused to sign it.
Affirmative action?
Yes.
Wow.
There's been recent, yes. And let me tell you how that was. The Republicans and the Dixiecrats told Lyndon Baines Johnson, we're not signing the 1964 Civil Rights Bill if you only limit it to black people. They demanded that you add gender and sexual orientation as protected categories. That's how it ended up including gender, race, ethnicity, all the protected codes.
Right.
Because they said this is not just going to be about black people, because there's an unwritten rule in this country where you don't make laws just for black people.
Well, going back to what I said, as in the pageantry of representation, you still lean more to say that you would, this old, rich, billionaire, 1% white man be the representation.
Are you trying to get him to pick a side? Are you literally trying to have him pick a side? Really? Are you gonna vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? This is all I need to know. Come on, Nick. You smarter than that. Come on.
Of the United States of America, opposed to a woman who has done the work.
What work?
She's definitely done community work.
What has she done for black people? I don't want to hear about people of color, because all these other groups within the rainbow, stay with me, can't stand black people any more than white folks. So one of the biggest mistakes we've made in the post-civil rights era was allowing this government to redefine us as people of color. We are not people of color. We are the American Africans, the descendants of those who were kidnapped, brought here, and forced to work for free. We have nothing in common with the Asians, the Latinos, the East Indians, the Arabs, the Chinaman. None of them were enslaved, Nick. Everybody came to America as people. We came to America as property.
Can't argue.
What has she done for us? What has
See, this is what led to our one of our downfalls is social immigration. us getting along to get along with other ethnicities. While they get all the money, all the glory, all the land, we're stuck with paying the constant bills and just. I mean, don't get me wrong. Most of us know how to hustle. Most of us know how to get that bread. But the rest of us, we just work regular jobs. Some of us work one, even two jobs. One and two jobs each and every single day, busting our ass. And sometimes never see the results. I mean, some of us, not advocating for it, but some of us have to slang a little something, sell a little something just to get that bread, to pay our bills. We hungry. It's time to eat. We open up the refrigerators, ain't nothing in that freaking refrigerator except for old Shasta, which ain't good for you, by the way. We're getting Shasta from the freaking dollar store. No, I don't advocate for violence. I don't advocate for none of that shit. All I do know is when most of us are trying to get by, the rest of society is rolling in their little Tesla trucks, which are bulletproof, by the way. Rolling up in their Tesla trucks, rolling in their, in their BMWs and shit like that. And we have to hear Officer Tatum is, if they can get it, you can get it too. Fuck that nigga.
Joe Biden done for us? What has Barack Obama done for us?
Again.
What has Bill Clinton done for us? What has Jimmy Carter done for us?
Ooh, Jimmy Carter.
Because this is the thing. I'm not going to disagree with you because I'm not a Democrat, nor
Right.
am I
Likewise.
a Republican.
Likewise.
But if we're talking about pure representation, because we're not talking policy right now.
Okay, but you're dealing in empty symbolism, Nick.
So
That's empty
what
symbolism.
has she done for us? What has the other side done for us?
Neither. And that's why I don't listen. I am an advocate of black people running away. I want to see an underground railroad away from the Democratic Party plantation, and I want to see underground railroad away from the Republican Party plantation. Run your ass away. Get off the plantation.
So what's the solution? Because
the solution is for the black vote to get organized and to make demands and only exchange your vote for concessions that come from the candidates. We're going to lose no matter who wins.
That's not going to happen in this.
Black vote is disorganized.
Are we going back to the Garvey mentality of we got to go get our own?
We need to, but I don't think we're there. See, I think too many American Africans are motivated by a pursuit to be accepted by white people.
Wow.
I believe the basic goal and direction of black American thought is to be accepted by white people.
Which means we are separated. Most of us are separated through groups. Most of us are separated through the idea of getting along to getting along. This is the reason why we're so separated. Until it involves death, until it involves somebody getting deleted, we want to come together. We want to come together as one. Why don't we come together before all that? Why don't we come together? Because just like this brother here, if a brother has a plan, it's always some nigga that comes around the corner who is bald-headed and is light-skinned and wants to challenge Umar for not opening up the school for black boys. It's like, we can't win.
By any means necessary. We don't want freedom because we don't want the accountability and responsibility that comes with freedom.
Wow.
If white people told black America, we're going to give y'all the 10 biggest ghettos, we leave. They're yours, everything.
Yeah.
Gas, electric, water, welfare, housing, land. You run Chicago. You run Los Angeles. You run Houston. You run Atlanta. You run Philly. We're gone. Negroes will go get them white folks and bring them back the next morning for breakfast. Black people don't want no world without white folks. Everything we do is to copy white folks and to be included by them.
Wow.
No, you don't want to leave white folks behind. No. You don't want your own land. No. That's just too smart. That's just too much like right. You don't want to land without white people. You don't, because you love them too much, because you want to blame women so much. That's too much for you. Being a land without white folks? No, me's a massa. No, we gonna run. We don't want to run away from Massa. Massa been too good for us. Oh my God, we've been so good for the Massa. Massa, don't leave us. It's embedded in us. It's embedded in our brains. We do not want to sacrifice for the greater good. We do not want to sacrifice to the greater good, which is us, by the way. You've been sucking and clucking white folks for so long. It's like that's why half of these motherfuckers listen to rock music. No, forget rock music. Eminem is the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, he isn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is good, but he ain't that damn good. What is it? Machine Gun Kelly, third base, Vanilla Ice. We have everything here. Why should we leave? Why should we leave our people? I can't stand all these women. I can't stand women. I can't stand African American women. Because all they do is this. All they do is it's about how you treat them and respect them. But they don't treat us and respect it. You're a beta male. That's what they call me all day. I don't even know what a beta male is. I don't know what a beta male is. I don't even know what a simp is. Quite frankly, I don't care. But I will tell you this. You ain't gonna stop me from doing what I'm doing, and you ain't gonna stop me from enjoying the fruits of thy labor. I am married with 2 children and a job that pays me good. I am good. It's not my fault that y'all some anti-dick sucking niggas who go around and praising one guy from Detroit, by the way, that is owned by that's pretty soon going to be owned by the Chinese, but I digress. Oh, wrong with hitting the button.
Yes. All right, so I got to just ask this question then. Before this election, what we're faced up against, who is Dr. Umar Johnson voting for?
I don't have a reason to vote for either candidate. I might show up and vote for the Honorable Frederick Douglass. I might vote for Queen Mother Ida B. Wells.
Marcus
I might vote for Sojourner Truth. I might vote for Betty. I might vote for Fred Hampton, George Jackson. But I promise you one thing, I'm not voting for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Here's the thing, Brother Nick. Trump had 4 years.
He did.
You've been in there before.
Yeah.
So if you cared about us so much, why we didn't get nothing from you? After the George Floyd protest,
he's saying he did. He said he did a
that's
lot.
A lie.
He the HBCUs.
The HBCUs are struggling. And the big reason why the HBCUs are struggling is because Joe Biden, your Democratic president, changed the name on the White House initiative to HBCUs. It's now the White House initiative on minority serving institutions. Yes. So now it ain't just about the HBCU. It ain't about those who are the posterity of those who built this country. Now, if you're serving Latinos, if you're serving homosexuals, if you're serving migrants, you can get some of that HBCU money too. That's what they're not talking about. It's no longer just for HBCUs. It's for minority serving institutions, MSI.
Wow.
And one of the worst things the Democrats did to us is they redefined black people within the definition of people of color. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our 7, we all represent an ethnic group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're people of color.
Right.
So when I go to the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and I say, what percentage of contracts did black people get? I don't know what percentage of contracts black people got, Dr. Umar, but people of color got 30% of California contracts. And then when I go through the list of all the people of color, ain't a black person on the list. People of color, Brother Nick, is a way for them to take care of everybody else and exclude black people while making you think you included as well. we allow them to define us out of
People
existence.
of color.
Wow.
I don't ever want to hear people of color. Black people. I want what's best for everybody. Don't get me wrong. Everybody got a right to eat, but nobody been through what my people been through, and nobody will merge this struggle in with the struggle of my people because we were here first. And if anybody going to get any resources, it better be the people who made America what she is.
Now, this is, I agree with you 100% because these terms are what kind of get us painted into a corner a lot of time because we get caught up in wanting to call each other
broad and ambiguous terms. That's what white people use. Broad and ambiguous terms to get black people into thinking something else when really it is what it is in their eyes, or is in white people's eyes, or whatever. This generation is starting to wake up because of the information that's out there already. But my question is to Generation Z, is it? What is it that you're absolutely reading? And the stuff that you're reading, does it pertain to what you're looking for? Is it what you're really looking for? Or is it something else? That's what you need to know. Look into the information, not at it.
African Americans, black, people of color, where, and even, you know, when it comes to the idea of reparations and stuff, it has to be a descendant of, or as I say, an ascendant of enslavement. So where, even as Barack Obama, as we know, really, he's an African. Not necessarily, his lineage did not necessarily come from
of enslaved Africans.
Right. So in that sense, even as someone who represents the diaspora and focuses on, you know, Africa so much, those people, there's a large community and a large group here that aren't descendants of slavery or ascendants of slavery.
Which is fine for me as a Pan-Africanist.
Right.
So I don't have an issue with my African immigrant brothers
Right.
who are in the United States from Nigeria or Haiti or Cameroon or from, you know, Bermuda, Bahamas,
Right.
Canada, or Costa Rica or Brazil. For me, it's one race.
Right.
You either a coon or you are African. You see that?
Right.
And you could be an American African coon. You could be a Nigerian African coon. You could be a Toronto African coon. I don't mess with coons, right? So piece the coons out, and then I deal with everybody else. My issue with Barack Obama is not the fact that his ancestors were not enslaved. My issue with Barack Obama is he never fully identified as an African on a full-time basis, and he didn't do anything for his people while in office. If Kamala Harris does have a black grandmother, which would make her a quadroon by Caribbean standards, one black grandparent, you're a quadroon, one black parent, you're a mulatto, and one black great-grandparent, you are an octoroon. So at best, Kamala Harris is a quadroon. Allegedly, her father's mother may have been a Jamaican African, but I just heard recently that picture of that dark woman I saw was not a Jamaican African, but an East Indian living in Jamaica. You see that? So because I said she was a quadroon. I gave her the credit.
Right.
I said she one black grandparent, that's a quadroon. If she was raised black and if she always identified as black, I would consider her a black woman. But guess what? When she got sworn in California here as the Attorney General, it was as a South Asian. When she announced her presidency the first time to be vice president under Joe Biden, it was as a South Asian. I've seen multiple interviews where she's being interviewed by people, and either she's calling herself South Asian or they are referring to her as a South Asian, and she never clarifies the interviewer a single time, Brother Nick, to say, yes, I'm South Asian, but I'm also Jamaican African or American African. And most recently, I think you saw the interview of a few days ago where that woman from Fox News or CNBC, one of them, she wanted to clarify with Kamala Harris her racial identity, and Kamala Harris said, next question, please.
Wow.
Be black all the time or be black
none of the time.
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never.
So much to unpack here that we're definitely going to have a part 2 of this Cannon's class because what I would love to go into on the next one, and maybe I've seen you speak on, whether it's Jay-Z, whether it's LeBron, whether there's, so many.
Oh, and by the way, he's going to go into it, and people always are in my comments or in my DMs and stuff like that saying that all these particular people have schools. Well, what's up with his school? Listen, just listen.
Many of us who have actually even attempted to build stuff specifically for black people. LeBron has built a school.
He has not built a school. The LeBron James Academy is an Akron public school. As a former school principal, I can tell you that private citizens don't own public schools. The taxpayers of Akron pay the bills at the LeBron James Academy. Now, what LeBron does do, and this is in credit to him,
yes,
he subsidizes the school.
Right.
He pays for the parents to go to college. He pays for the children to go to college. They get free pairs of his sneakers. He pays for after-school programs. I love what LeBron does. Don't get me wrong.
So that's not an independent school.
It's not an independent. It is a public school paid for by the taxpayers of Ohio. LeBron James don't hire nobody. LeBron James don't discipline nobody. LeBron James didn't come up with the curriculum. LeBron James wasn't sitting in on the interviews for who they hire.
But we have to give him
that
the
is a Snow Bunny Academy. Okay? It's a Snow Bunny Academy. LeBron James don't have no school. Dr. Umar got the school.
So, but we at least got to give him the.
No, he doesn't have the school because school ain't open.
Credit to at least be trying to at least put a step forward in the direction of what you're.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yes.
LeBron James, by subsidizing and sponsoring that school, he has done a good job for our children.
Yes.
Right? LeBron James is a black man with a black wife, black father, great father, one of the only professional athletes we can look to with such an extended career to never get into any trouble, although he came into the NBA as a teenager.
Yeah.
I tip my hat and
Best
I
ever
salute
do it.
him for that.
Yes.
With that being said, I got a big problem with LeBron James caping for Caitlin Clark every time she do something great, but you ain't got no smoke for Angel Reese or Angel Wilson, who's the best player in the whole damn league.
Which, by the way, she went overseas. Caitlin Clark is overseas and she's having a good time. Good riddance.
Every time Caitlin Clark has a great.
All right. I mean, no smoke to, my aces. My aces are 2-time champs, but, I only watch them because, the bets that I make, and I've been losing recently, but that's the only reason why I watch the WNBA. But other than that, fuck that white bitch.
Game, here comes patient slave LeBron James.
I wouldn't go that far.
Celebrating her.
It's politics.
I'm going to go further.
It's politics.
I'm going to go further. When a certain country went to war against a certain country.
Oh, here we go.
He sided with the aggressor and not the oppressed.
I remember
and I took
that.
Publicly he did. What do you mean? Publicly, it's on YouTube.
I remember
he
that.
He said, I stand with X.
I remember that. Didn't he take up for, well, we can't really say it on the airways because of YouTubian purposes. I don't want to get shut down. Yeah, wasn't he on X and he was representing China or something like that? I forgot about that.
And I said, ain't you supposed to be some of the activists or something, Negro? So you're going to stand with them against the bombing and genocide of this group of people over here, but in your own city of Akron, Ohio, when that brother Jalen Walker was shot 100 times by the police, defenseless without a weapon, you prayed for Akron. LeBron said, I got to pray for my city. So why didn't you pray for this country invading and trying to commit genocide against people living in this country? If you can only pray for a black man in your own city murdered by the police with 100 bullets, why didn't you pray for this country and this country? You didn't pray. You stood in solidarity with the oppressor over the oppressed. Y'all better never call LeBron James an activist ever again in your life.
We definitely got to call him an activist.
He
but
ain't no activist.
It goes back to what.
He's an actor.
He's an athlete who
He's an athlete actor owned by the power structure.
he was great.
Caitlin
He was
Clark,
great in
Bunny
Space
Hoppin'.
Jam.
No, he wasn't. But no. I respect LeBron James.
Nah,
I
facts.
do.
We
But
have
he's
to.
no activist at all.
Well, that it goes
He's
back
no
to what
activist at all.
it goes back
To
to.
call him an activist is complete hypocrisy.
No.
Ain't no activism bone in that man's body.
Well,
to
when-
stand with that country, what they was doing to that country, no activist would do that. And to not stand for the black man who got shot 100 times in your own city, you ain't do nothing.
Well,
But you'll stand with this oppressor against the oppressed. LeBron James is a great father, great athlete, great ambassador for the LeBron James School. He is nobody's activist.
As an activist that you are, because, and it goes back to what Malcolm X said, you know what I mean? We're the only community where our activists are the entertainers. And the celebrities. So it's not the duty of the entertainers and the athletes to be the activists. Would you, from what Malcolm X said?
Harry Belafonte turning over in his grave. Dick Gregory turning over in his grave. Nina Simone turning over in her grave right now. Look at all the great black singers and actors and athletes who stood up against oppression. Don't tell me that we could do it back then when it was far more dangerous to advocate for black people, Nick, 40, 50, 60 years ago, that these niggas can't show up and show out for their people.
But from the conversations that I was allowed to be a part of with the great Dick Gregory, the great Harry Belafonte, and even some of those people that you name, they got some of the same ridicule at that time of not doing enough. Even Dr. King got the same ridicule of not doing enough for black people because they were true people on the front line.
Right.
As you know, where the young people of SNCC, the Freedom Riders, those people, at the time, the true, and even when we would go all the way to the Stokeleys and the people who were doing the real work, the frontline work, all the way to the nation, and so many people who felt that those entertainers, even of that time, were doing the equivalent of what a LeBron James is doing today.
Well, I criticize Harry Belafonte because he's a snow bunny hopper.
Yeah. I knew he was gonna go.
And Sidney Poitier because he was another bunny hopper. Although Sidney Poitier did help finance some of the civil rights struggles. You feel me? So I'm not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I appreciate.
And James Earl Jones, we just found out not too long ago that he's with a snow bunny. Damn it! Damn! What is so fond of white cooch? What is I love you, sisters. I love all my sisters. I love all my sisters. Anytime you want to come to the We-On-Loc Nation channel, please just. Oh, thank you. Get out of here. Black plate because I'm black. Black plate because I'm. Look, my daughter just gave me a plate. Food. This is a black plate because I'm black.
Sidney Poitier, but you had no business with a damn snow bunny.
Here we go.
Mary Black.
So this is in part one. Right here, because we got so much more, because that is exactly what we need to talk about in part two. Black parent advocate.
Yes, sir.
As well as so much more of owning our own.
Yes.
Taking care of our own.
We have to. The problem, Nick, psychologically speaking, black people hate each other more than they hate their collective oppression. We hate each other more than we hate our collective oppression.
We're going to pause right there.
We would rather leave the white man in charge for another 1,000 years than tolerate each other and come together to build.
That's pun, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to pause right there and get into part two of Candace's class. Dr. Umar is setting the world on fire once again with...
It's hard to set the world on fire. People just don't like him because he is who he is. Well, I haven't got my dinner, ladies and gentlemen. So...